You're watching the Prepared Mind Network, so get prepared for one hell of a show.
I think ever since you've come into office, things are really looking up. Gas is up, rent is up, food is up, everything. No, it really has been a tough first year for you, Mr. President. Gas is up, gas is up, gas is up, everything. Rent is up, everything, everything, everything. Gas is up, rent is up, food is up, gas is up, rent is up, food is up, everything.
For the election season, we need those I did that stickers recreated and put everywhere. I mean, I'm paying over $4 a gallon for fuel. It's awful. It's more than double what it was when I got down south here. Hey, folks, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It has hit the fan, and we are now dealing with the consequences. We got Uman with the wrench in the background. He's ready for your questions down below. Let's have a good talk about everything. And I have a very special announcement right now. Thursday, March 4th, I'm going to do a Thursday Night Live special, and I'll have more announcements on that show. That'll be for everybody, kind of like a zoo. So get ready for it. It's coming tomorrow, Thursday, 6 p.m. unless something happens. I get run over by a car, go to the hospital, heart attack, stroke, or no, I didn't take the Jim Jones juice. I won't be having that shit. Folks, Biden is a complete lunatic. Absolute complete lunatic. The Democrats are complete lunatics. We're in for a world of hurt. Now, luckily, people are fighting back, and this is evidence right here. This is evidence on this hump day show that we can defeat evil, stupid, communism, all of it. First, it was Florida. Now it is the great state and Republic of Texas. Their colleges, folks, they're not going to have it anymore. It is now illegal. It is unlawful in the state of Texas to have these ridiculous diversity, equity, and inclusion positions at colleges. So the University of Texas, just the University of Texas, laid off 60, folks, count them, 60 fucking DEI employees because their law is now taking effect. This is another giant fuck you to the perverted dumbass freaks and racists in Texas. Actually, it's a big middle finger to the whole planet, but Texas can only affect Texas. Now, that said, Florida did the same thing in all their colleges. Oh, no, I just have to ask this. Now, if I said the state of Texas lost 60 DEI employees at colleges, we'd be like, yeah, it's 60 people. This is one fucking college. 60 employees at executive level, diversity, equity, inclusion, pink hair, green hair, purple afro, no hair, lipstick on guys. These people have been gone, fired. I guess they'll start going back to the classrooms and teaching their opinions to a bunch of mind-numb morons. The cost, though, of 60 diversity, equity, and inclusion employees. Let's do this. Let's pretend that they only get paid $100,000 a year to be in these positions. And the cost of employment is only 50%. That includes unemployment, Social Security contributions, disability insurance, all the insurances, all the things that go into hiring somebody. Let's just say each of these employees is $150,000 a year that they added, folks, for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Guess how much this law saved just the University of Texas a year? $9 million that they're pissing away for some left-wing, limp-wristed, sausage-smoking liberal can sit behind a desk and do nothing but cause grief, misery, anger, and hatred amongst everybody they run across. That's who they are. That's what they do. Now, imagine, I don't know how many fucking universities there are in Texas, but let's just say between major universities and junior colleges, I'm willing to bet there's 300 universities in Texas. But for the sake of argument, I'm going to make it only 200. Let's just say there's 200 junior colleges and major universities. What does that equal in expense that has been just passed on to student loans, the parents who pay for their kids' college? It's $1.8 billion, folks. I was choked on that billion. $1.8 billion if there are, right, 200 universities that all lay off 60 employees at $150,000 a year total cost of employment, because they also get retirement, vacations. By retirement, I mean, the pay into their funds. The expense everyone has, folks, is incredible. The cost of all these losers is incredible. Hey, here we are, folks. It is Hump Day Wednesday. Don't forget, tomorrow is the Thursday Night Zoo Special Edition, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. Pacific Time. We're going to have a nice little show in the middle, well, close to the end of the week. Close to the end of the week. What a week it has been, folks. Absolutely. Comments below, thoughts below. Now, let's get to the U.S. military as we'll be talking about World War III and why we need a military. But first, let's talk about our military. Not only is the Navy having trouble, but the U.S. Army and Air Force are having massive, massive trouble. And here is a coffee and Kraken. The U.S. Army and the Air Force, both of them, had decided to send letters, emails, phone calls. Give me a second. They're asking people who have retired to return to active duty. And I'm sure it's not just retirees, but anyone who's been discharged. They're asking them, they're begging them, please come back, because of recruiting shortages. No one wants to be in the Army. Nobody wants to be in the Air Force because of the diversity, equity, inclusion, critical race theory, anti-white, anti-Christian, anti-American, pro-communist, pro-trans, pro-gay policies of the Pentagon, the loser Lloyd Austin, Secretary of Defense, and then Joe go fuck yourself Biden, who is destroying our military in front of our eyes. So you know what I have to say, though, to the Pentagon? Fuck you guys. After you and Biden demanded soldiers and airmen and squids and jarheads, they demanded that they take experimental crap, inject it into their bodies, been shown to cause death and disease. Once again, Pentagon, Austin, Biden, go fuck yourselves. Seriously. And I got a new word for these people. They're a bunch of trans holes. Trans holes. Use it, enjoy it. You don't have to give me any credit. Just fucking use it. It's kind of like trannies and assholes, trans holes. Now, that said, why would anyone trust these fuckers? They threaten people. They threatened with sending them to the brig with dishonorable discharges. They took people's fucking retirements from them. They removed officers' commissions. They told other enlisted men, just get the hell out of here. Fucking awful. Why would you do that to someone who wants to serve this country, even if they're just in the Air Force? I'm making fun of Air Force, and I really shouldn't, but fuck them. right? We always tease each other in the service. Now, why would anyone care? They're already underpaid in the military. In fact, get this, illegal immigrants here in this country now are getting 5 times, not 2 times, not 200, 300, 400. They're getting 500% more social benefits, money, food, housing, assistance than people who are serving in the United States military. You think I'm mad? I'm fucking mad, all right. And now they're like, please come back. No, they put in their time. They were threatened. This is why everyone, folks, is turning their back on the U.S. government in Washington, D.C. It's not the United States of America. That's not the government, folks. It's called the United States. It's a corporation. It is headquartered in Washington, D.C., and that's all it is a corporation. There is no loyalty. There is nothing in the United States government worth serving. Fuck them. And their little stool pigeons. I'm still waiting for the FBI to show up and go, we realize that you've been saying some mean things on social media, and you've been retweeting and making posts, and you're saying words that are offensive to fruitcakes. Fuckers. Why don't you guys go paint a bullseye on your ass and play butt darts some more? America's had it. Fuck these people. And it goes all the way to the top, folks. It goes all the way to the top. Now, before, right? I got just a ton of stuff to get to. There was this massive earthquake in Taiwan. I believe the tsunami headed towards Indonesia, but it wasn't that big a deal. Crazy stuff, Taiwan. Crazy stuff, Taiwan. What really cracked me up was interesting is there's a building over there, kind of a high-rise building. It tilted and went, ugh. It's leaning, like a 30-degree angle, leaning. Large building. And some engineer put a picture of that and video of Building 7 at the World Trade Center falling. And it said, this building that's sitting here like this had partial structural failure. And that's what happened to the partial structural failure. And then they used the footage of Building 7, showing it going down to the ground and saying, this is total structural failure. Where is my tinfoil hat? Folks, nothing hit Building 7. An airplane, a jet, a rocket, a missile, a fucking Cessna, a Volkswagen Bug, nothing hit Building 7. What structural failure occurs when nothing hits it and falls? Yeah, it's quite interesting. Anyways, that's Taiwan. And remember, folks, Taiwan, where this massive earthquake hit, instantly got lots of attention from China. China sent 9 naval vessels, ships, to circle Taiwan. They sent 30 of their planes, jets, monitoring, fighters, whatever, to fly over Taiwan. Massive show of force while Taiwan is licking its wounds. This is quite an escalation. And it happened right after Biden and Xi Jinping had a telephone conversation together. And can you imagine being Xi? Imagine being Xi. And he goes, okay, we got 1.5 billion Chinese. And he probably has 1 billion of them that like him. The other 500 million are probably like, yeah, we love you, Xi. Not really, but hey. But in America, we don't have 1.5 billion. We don't even have 1 billion. We have 250 million, 250 million. I think it's 300 million. Whatever it is, 300 million. But how many of those are Biden's folks? Biden represents the fruitcakes, folks. Probably 3 million trans LGB fruits. That is who Biden represents. How can 3 million people have a representative call Xi Jinping, who has 1 billion followers / supporters? Yeah, I realize he's a communist dictator. Biden sure wishes he was. Woo! Anyways, what a strange bunch of coincidences, huh? I mean, tinfoil hat. Earthquake hits. Interesting timing. China's right there. They're like, hey, we just happen to have a bunch of ships in the area. We'll come and take an eye and look at things for you. Yeah, I'm not buying it. Not buying it. All right, folks. I started with Bidenomics, his Biden inflation claim. He thinks is fucking funny. I think it is a 100% attempt to destroy America. Not just a little bit, folks. I mean 100%. Biden sold off the strategic petroleum reserves to the lowest level in 40 years. 40 years. I believe he sold it to China. And then he turned around and said, hey, we're not going to refill this strategic reserve because oil is, quote, way too expensive. Like the fucking government. If they have any assets or cash, they give it away. They trade it. They give it to themselves. You know, the big guy always gets his 10 fucking percent, but he won't fill it now. We could fill it with oil from Texas, from offshore, from up in Alaska, but Biden killed all energy, development, exploration, expansion, including killing the Keystone Pipeline, which took decades to get passed, funded, through all the regulatory shit to get it here, and he killed it. Day fucking one. It's way too expensive. Just like the government. We give you your Social Security, but we already gave it away. We give you back your tax money, but we already gave it to Zelensky. Folks, shit has hit the fan. When the people in charge of the bank have robbed the bank. Today, I found an interesting bit of news. All of the oligarchs in Ukraine that the United States government has purchased colossal fucking mansions for with your money. You want to talk about a payoff? You want to talk about a bribe? Every last Ukraine politician that needed to be bought off got a fucking mansion that the U.S. government paid. What do you think they got in exchange for that? Take a shot at it. Take a guess. Well, they just had to turn around, drop their pants, bend over, and let Biden paint a bullseye on their ass, and then have Pete Buttigieg and everyone else in his administration send home a message. They sold themselves out, folks, and they got screwed in the ass in Ukraine. Anywhere from 1 million to 2 million of their men killed. I'm sure that makes these Democrats very happy to know. They did a great job killing as many people as they could, fuckers. Get your comments, your thoughts down below. We've got a lot to talk about, folks. A lot to talk about. Trump is stomping in the polls. We need Trump to win this, folks. And he's doing what he can to get everyone's attention. Now, Trump went after Joe DiMaggio for his Trans Visibility Day. Day of Trans Visibility. On Easter. He desecrated Easter. He blasphemed Easter and what it is to Christians. So Trump came out and he says Election Day will be Christian Visibility Day. In other words, we, the people of this country, We all, not just some, we all need to come out and make our opinion about LGBT and their lies and bullshit known. Diversity, equity, and inclusion can die. Critical race theory can die. All of their left-wing communist propaganda can all go to hell on election day. And that will be Christian Visibility Day. I think that's clever as hell. Brilliant. I'm fucking pissed at these people, folks. They are absolute scum. And by scum, I mean treason. The very worst. The very worst of humanity is in charge of this country. The bureaucracy, Washington, D.C., the military, the courts, the state capitals. Everywhere they've got power, they exercise it to fuck you over and me and everyone. Trust me, folks. In 1774, people were pissed. In 1775, people were fucking pissed. In 1776, they finally decided to start shooting. Where are we at? Are we at 1776? Are we at 1770? Are we somewhere in between? I am not advocating violence, insurrection, dangerous behavior, anything. But I will glorify 1776 because that is a national holiday. YouTube, you fucksticks, and we can glorify the revolution against tyranny. It was not a revolution against King George. He just happened to be the fucking tyrant in charge. It could have been the king of Sweden. It could have been the king of Poland. It could have been the king of Portugal, Spain, France. It'll fucking leave. It doesn't matter. It's against tyranny that the war was fought. We just happen to have a name to throw against the wall with all the other shit. King George. Don't forget what this is about, folks. Don't forget that the king always has men willing to take a paycheck to steal, murder, and rape. Mark my fucking words. Now, before we get to 1776 in 2020 something, before we even get to the election in 2024, the Republicans just might lose control of the House without an election even being there. Every loser, piece of shit, rhino Republican needs to have their name and address spread across every network. Now, I am not saying publicly put it out there. I'm saying privately get it and privately share it so everyone knows where these rhinos live, what their names are, their address, their phone number, their contact, their office, their job. Because if I can be fucking canceled, they need to be canceled and then some for what they've done. And now we've got a 1-vote lead in Congress. 1-vote lead in Congress. The House of Representatives. And today it was revealed that little Lauren Boebert, Republican out of Colorado, she has a blood clot in her leg. She's only age 37. Have you seen Lauren Boebert? She is not a big, giant, unhealthy person. She's a little skinny pixie, age 37. What is she doing with a nasty blood clot in her leg that requires surgery? One representative away from a massive, chaotic issue with Biden controlling the White House. Up Chuck Puke controlling the Senate, and Nancy Pants Pelosi grabbing hold of the House of Representatives again, and they can ram everything down our fucking throats. It is March the 3rd. I'm sorry. It is April the 3rd. April, May, June, July, August, September, October. That's 7 fucking months. Plus, after the election, you have to wait till the next year. The next year before the change of power takes place. So, the month of April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, and then in January. 9 months away if the Republicans lose power now, and then January, because it's January 21st before the next president takes over. Almost a complete year. It seems like we've had Biden for 20 fucking years, but we have almost one whole complete year left. And who do we have to thank for this? Fucking rhino Republicans causing shit to hit the fan and putting these Democrats so close to being in charge again. They're not Republicans, folks. They're anti-American sellouts and losers and traitors. Are you prepared? Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Be prepared, because they are the ones causing trouble, folks. They're the ones. Thank you, Darcy T, for sending me that, and everyone else who have been sending me information. Now, I started off this particular program by saying, hey, I'd like you to think about how we can win. And I demonstrated that Texas told these DEI, critical race theory, racist bastards, you're fired. Well, Louisiana, folks, did something that I'm going to say is even bigger. Even bigger. And I want to share it with you, because it's important to remind you again, we can win this. We should win this. And this is what needs to happen. In the great state of Louisiana, folks, Louisiana, not Texas, not Florida. The Senate of Louisiana unanimously passed a bill to block control in the state of Louisiana to keep the United Nations, the World Health Organization, and the World Economic Forum out of their state. Now, here's a quote from the bill, folks. The World Health Organization, United Nations, and the World Economic Forum. That would be Klaus Schwab, the guy who wants you to eat bugs. Eat the bugs. The guy who wants to take beef away from you. The guy who wants you to walk. No more car. The guy who says you'll own nothing and be happy. The World Health Organization, United Nations, and the World Economic Forum shall have no jurisdiction or power within the state of Louisiana. No rule, regulation, fee, tax, policy, or mandate of any kind of the World Health Organization, United Nations, and the World Economic Forum shall be enforced or implemented by the state of Louisiana or any agency, department, board, commission, political subdivision, governmental entity of the state, parish, municipality, or any other political entity. Now, folks, they describe quite a bit of shit there. I'm sure they'll go, whoa, we can sneak it in through the schools. No, the spirit of the law, the statute, rather, because the statutes can affect non-peoples and foreign people and foreign companies and foreign corporations. Foreign meaning anything outside of the state of Louisiana cannot affect Louisiana. The spirit of the bill is to exclude foreign jurisdictions and foreign organizations from violating the rights of the people and violating the rights of the state. People are waking up. Don't feel like you're alone, folks. I keep trying to say we think people are going to make fun of us because we're preppers. We're concerned about the World Economic Forum. We're concerned about the UN. We're concerned about Dr. Fauci. We're concerned about Joe Biden. We're concerned about DC, the FBI, the DEI, the DHS, the IRS, the ATF, the CIA. And you ought to fucking be concerned about them. They're trying to destroy the country willfully, intentionally. And we can stop them. And we're doing it because people are waking up. When a state legislature, folks, imagine this. This guy's got to go out, a state legislator, an assemblyman or a senator. In the state level, they've got to go out to their constituents and say, hey, look, I'm sick of these foreign bastards. I'm sick of these mega corporations. I'm sick of Washington, D.C. fucking over our state. Therefore, elect me and I'll throw their asses out. And the people are like, yay! And they vote for him. And then they go to their capital, and then they're now passing rules and laws and bills to stop foreign jurisdictions from interfering with us and violating our rights. That is exactly what we need. So when you think, everyone's going to think I'm crazy if I say something not true. Like I said, I've talked to everyone on the economic scale, from poor people to regular middle income to fucking rich motherfuckers. And they all have guns. And they all know what's going on. I like to, of course, give them extra information when they start talking. I go, well, that's interesting that you tell me that. Have you heard about this thing and that thing and the other thing? Have you heard about the military? Have you heard about Wall Street? Have you heard about the banks? Have you heard about the courts? Have you heard about, we can talk for a while, right? We can talk for a while. But we can defeat these scumbags. We can. Folks, I'm now going to turn the show over to you. Your questions, your comments, I hope you've got them down below to Mr. Uman. It is time for the inner circle. And we're back. I hope you enjoyed that commercial break. No commercial. Okay, Mr. Uman, where are we rolling first? Do we have anybody out there? BJ. Who's BJ? Hey, it's Nancy Keg. It looks like a BJ. You've got to admit it, man. Nancy Keg says, hey, Uman, what is this about some kind of stuff that is going to be sprayed on people on April 8th that are watching the event? The event is the eclipse. And people starting to get sick afterwards. Well, number one, we don't know if people are going to get sick afterwards because it hasn't happened yet. Number two, I don't understand why anyone needs to be sprayed with any fucking thing. Now, is there a rumor out there? Has the government announced that they're going to be flying around with airplanes spraying shit in the air? It's possible, but I don't have any factual evidence. If it's out there, someone please provide it. Get it to Uman. I would love to read this because I haven't found it. And then going with spraying people on the 8th during the eclipse. I've got some bad news for everyone. I myself have witnessed an eclipse, a full solar eclipse. It was not stunning. It was not amazing. It was kind of interesting because it got cooler for a couple of seconds during a hot fucking day. But here's the deal. Unfortunately, most of North America will not see the eclipse, whether they like it or not. Whether you stand outside or inside does not matter because there's supposed to be a shit pile of clouds, storms blowing through on the 8th. That might change. But here's the deal, folks. The eclipse isn't something that happens all fucking day. It's not like the sun and the moon are traveling together through the sky. They basically do this. Hey! They go past each other in the sky. It lasts like 2 minutes tops. It's just a few seconds where the full eclipse is at. I'm not worried about the eclipse. I really would be worried if they're spraying shit. But I don't know why they would. And if it's cloudy out, that 30-second window where there's a full eclipse, you're not going to see it. It's not like you can go, okay, the sun came out, show me that eclipse. Now, Uman says, given the forecast, most of the eclipse path will be cloudy. Uman knows that, and he's not even a weatherman. No, you do not want to see him in a mini skirt in front of a green screen weather thing. That would, no, not pretty. Think my legs are white, you should see Uman's. Now, Ken, Uman says, I'll ask again. Are you axing us? I'll ax again. If an eclipse happens and conspiracy theorists and Bible humping thumping doomers can't see it, is it the apocalyptic Armageddon averted? It's kind of like the old question of the tree in the forest. Yeah. If a tree falls in the forest and no one saw it, did it happen? If no one heard it, did it happen? Right? If the eclipse occurs, but there's clouds, did it actually happen? And since you can't see it, is the apocalyptic event averted, negated, saved? Are we saved? Is that a miracle if we can't see it? I don't know. And this idea that they're going to fire rockets into space, NASA is on the 8th. And the mission is called, I think, APEP. APEP is an evil snake that lurks in the sky through the long, dark hours of the night. That's Egyptian mythology / religion. APEP. Why is it that NASA continues to use ancient Egyptian and astrological symbology for their fucking missions? Is it a religion or is it science? Well, I'll tell you what, it's religion. It's religion. They have their religion that they press. The earth is a beautiful spheroid spinning through the space. And, well, that's their religion. The other religion says, well, the corners of the earth's foundations are fixed and unmoving. Right? And there's a firmament and a heaven and all this and a that and a Sheol. And, you know, what do you believe? It's becoming harder and harder to believe recognized authority figures. It's quite interesting. Somebody out there, and I wish I could give them credit, but I can't do it. Somebody out there today printed a little article, a little story, said things I used to do in the 1980s, people I could trust. Oh, let's see, the government, NASA, the military, courts, judges, the mainstream media, like they listed a dozen different things that you used to be able to trust. Doctors. Now you can't trust any of them. Anyone who is an authority, you cannot trust. I don't trust Trump. He's got to get elected. And on day one, he's got to free every January 6th protester and kick every motherfucking illegal out of the country, or at least start the process. Do you know what Trump is being tried for now? The judge that is trying him for hush money paid to a fucking porn star. She takes money from Democrats, Biden, everybody. The same family. It's a fucking scam, folks. Now, see, what Trump did was illegal. He gave money to somebody that he may or may not have had sex with in order to shut her up. And I guess you can now go after a former president for paying hush money to somebody to cover up a sex scandal. You know who is most affected by that? Bill Clinton. I think he paid $850,000 to Paula Jones to shut her up. Hush money. Where is the government, and why aren't they going after Bill Clinton for giving hush money to somebody he is accused of sexually assaulting? Now, I remember this insult. I remember that the feminists went, don't believe her, when she was saying that Bill Clinton assaulted her sexually. And the insult that was thrown at Paula Jones was, well, that's what happens when you drag a $20 bill through a trailer park. And I thought, really, that's what Democrats do, is they go to trailer parks and drag money through there on the street in order to lure out low self-esteem, low-income women so they can fuck them? Is that what they're saying Bill Clinton did for a fucking hobby? That's how he got his women to have sex with, dragging money through trailer parks? As governor, he cruised through trailer parks looking for women? Says a lot about Bill Clinton, but nobody thought like we do back then. They're like, ooh, that's a terrible insult. Oh, my God. No. Don't look at Paula Jones wanting that $20 bill. Look at the fucking governor, then President Bill Clinton, who went to trailer parks looking for cheap, easy, down on their luck women that he could fucking screw over and then try and screw. Tell you what, folks, I'm tired of their logic and the fucking holes and you and me being expected to go, yeah, well, it's okay, it's fine. Not fine. Every Rhino Republican, get their name, address, location, properties, so we can hold them accountable. It's coming in the future. I can't wait until it happens. I'm not telling anyone to do anything violent, dangerous, illegal, or unlawful, but get their names and addresses. Remember where they live. They need to be visited by the ghosts of their own past. Mr. Uman, where are we going next? Oh, this is great. He says, had an interesting conversation with an old friend at lunch today. She was a Democrat until Clinton. She was a Democrat until Clinton and not a prepper or super conservative. She made an interesting comment. Quote, the sheep on the right are starting to sound a lot like the sheep on the left. I would like you to come on live, Mr. Uman. This is an excellent, excellent thing to discuss. Is that a big no? Is that a, or up? Oh, all right, he's coming, folks. There. All right, let's discuss this concept. I think it has a lot of value and weight and something we can learn from.
Well, we were just having a general conversation, and this somehow came up, and you hear everybody on the left and all the people that are so wide awake on the right. They're always talking about how, every news channel on TV is just spewing the same crap and the same talking points and this and that. Right. And she made the observation that she's noticed that a lot of people on the right are starting to sound like that too.
Oh, having the same talking points.
Yeah. I mean, you get all these asshats on the internet saying these things like with this whole thing about the eclipse and the this and that, and everything is nefarious. Every little accident that happens, or big accident, I'll give you that, that happens is somehow some kind of a big conspiracy. And then all of a sudden, everybody starts repeating the same shit over and over. And I see it every day.
Yeah, I agree. It is problematic. One of the issues I have is, have you ever seen a beaten dog? And I'm not suggesting you have ever beaten a dog, but you've seen a dog that's been abused.
Sure.
And it sits there, and if you move fast or make a sudden noise, the dog flinches. You can see it in actual spouses that are abused also. They're gun shy, they're nervous. And so anytime something bad happens, after all this fucking abuse that we've suffered, they're very flinchy now.
Sure.
And then they jump on the bandwagon, right? The response is always bite the first person they can, bite them. Yep. It's a defensive move. So I get the psychology of it. How do we break that? How do we come out of that?
Well, at the end of every show, I always sign off with a goodbye that says at the end, stay mentally tough. Yes. Just because somebody says something that sounds good to you or falls into your belief system or the narrative that you want to believe and follow doesn't make it true. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so many people on the right spewing so much shit every day, none of which happens. I mean, how many of these doomsday and apocalyptic predictions have we heard from the right? And how many of them have come true? I don't even need one hand to count that on.
Right, yeah. I got no fingers, Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's this whole thing about, everybody shovels the same shit against the wall every day. And sooner or later, one of them may end up coincidentally being right about something, but that doesn't mean they know what the hell is going on. It doesn't mean they have some super secret inside sources in the government that they can't name.
Yeah. It's easy to get sucked into that. It really is.
Oh, yeah.
And so, one of the things I like to do is continue to ask. I like getting all worked up and pissed off because then I can just vent like a fucking volcano. But in all truth, yeah, how many of these apocalyptic predictions have happened?
Yeah, and I mean, it's the same thing. Everything is the FBI's fault. Everything is the CIA's fault. You know what? Sometimes it's just human error, stupidity, incompetence, you name it. I mean, there's so many other explanations that nobody even wants to take into consideration. And you see how much hate I take for calling bullshit on some of this stuff in the chats. I mean, I don't have time to look at it. I sit there and I say, hey, this happened 5 minutes ago. We don't even have enough fucking information to draw any kind of conclusion. Let's gather some more information before we react to this and sound like a bunch of fucking idiots.
Well, let's do it for example. So today, a top international virologist, I thought they were called epidemiologists. Anyways, a virologist from, I think, Belgium. He's got a dire apocalyptic warning. And he says, massive tsunami of death among highly Jim Jones juiced. And he says, is imminent. There's a difference between it's going to happen eventually and imminent means right now. Imminent means it's happening. This is a doctor. So is this fear porn?
Yes.
Or could he be right, man? Because we fear the consequences of this experimental shit.
He could be right, but that doesn't mean that jumping out right now. I didn't see what evidence he presented.
Correct.
I saw the story, I mean, I also saw a story about how, one person has died from some virus that jumped from a chicken to a cow to a human.
Yeah, no, I saw that.
Okay. I mean, is that really what happened, or were there some other circumstances involved that happened to coincide with that? We don't know. I mean, jumping the gun and making conclusions without all the information.
What was the disease again? Mad cow?
It was a mad cow-like disease or something. I don't remember exactly.
So a meningitis type disease.
Yeah. Which
can be caught anywhere, including from illegals. I think it's more likely that it went from a chicken to a cow, or less likely to go be a zoonosis from a chicken to a cow to a human. It's probably more likely that it went from a human to a human.
Yeah. It jumped the border and got into another human.
But they want to report it as it's like mad cow disease. And I'll tell you what, back in 1993 or 94, when mad cow first reared its mad cow head, I freaked the fuck out, man. I was 24. This idea that there's something that can eat your brain away, spongiform, and you just start walking in circles and you die. But guess what, Moo Man? While we're bringing this up, I don't want you to get scared.
Did you say 1994?
Yeah, 1994.
And yet here we are 30 years later.
But spike proteins, if you haven't forgotten, cause holes in the brain to create symptoms like mad cow. Maybe this person didn't get bird flu. They got spike protein damage from the Jim Jones juice. This doctor's right. We're all going to die tomorrow. Massive tsunami of death. It's imminent.
Like I said, I don't take any of the dire warnings from either side seriously. I look for more evidence. I do some research. I do some digging. We were just talking about it the other day. When you hyper focus on something, you start finding those events everywhere. Yeah. I mean, like when they're talking about, our food supply or food chain is under attack because some empty grocery store and some deserted butcher and an empty parking lot and a food processing plant had a plane hit it or caught on fire or whatever. I mean, they started broadening the definition of food processing plants so much that 30% of the fires we had in the country for a couple of weeks were food processing plants. Yeah. When the trains derailed, these things happen every day. It just happened to be a catastrophic one that drew everyone's attention. Then all of a sudden, everybody's looking for train wrecks and they're finding them everywhere. Now we got the boats. We had a catastrophic one, but these things happen every week.
I have a way to illustrate it for everyone to understand it and apply it to themselves. When you get a new car, used car, when you get a car, you change from one car to another. Let's just say you buy a Ford Focus, you buy a Toyota Camry, whatever you buy, all of a sudden you'll start seeing those fucking things everywhere. Because
oh my God, I never knew there were so many Toyota Camrys on the road. Yeah, my son just mentioned the same thing when he got his Honda.
Yeah, you'll start because now you own one, you know what it looks like, you focus on it, so you see it everywhere.
Yep.
So the same thing does apply. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not aware of the potential of mad cow disease. It doesn't mean that I don't have antibiotics and detox medicines. I have all those things as a prepper in the unlikely occurrence that really bad things happen. And, I have all this ammunition, all of these lawfully owned guns in the event something nasty happens. I don't know what's going to happen, though.
And we raise our awareness to these things.
Mm-hmm.
We pay attention to it, but you put it in the back of your brain pan and you don't freak out about it and you don't go screaming about it everywhere you go. I mean, you see all these people in the chat channels and they're all screaming about whatever the other guys are fear porning about or master clickbaiting about. And, everybody gets all worked up about this stuff. And then when it doesn't happen, they forget about it not happening and they're on to the next topic. I mean, that is seriously as bad as what the left is doing with all the news channels and all the stuff that they're pushing. Trump's going to kill everybody. He's going to put all the gays in concentration camps. He's going to have gas chambers for the illegals. I mean, what they're doing on both sides, I don't know. Well, we could start that new one,
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, what they do on both sides to get you to believe them and get you to follow them and get their view times and whatever is that they use fear to get you coming back every single day instead of saying, is that possible? Sure. But is it probable or likely? Probably not so much.
And is it imminent? Is it happening now?
Exactly.
So there's a lot of things to go over. Now, when I hear Katie Couric say that we need to be put in re-education camps, or I hear Hillary Clinton say that we need to have these deplorables taken care of, number one, it pisses me off.
Sure.
Do I think it's really going to happen? I don't. If they even began to fucking start it, folks, there would be World War III at every level.
Yep.
They can't even try and start it. It would be a fucking disaster and a mess. I want to wake people up and I sensationalize shit like that to bring awareness to it. But do I really think they're going to try that? I remember back in the 90s talking about FEMA camps all across America, FEMA camps, right? The militia of Montana, the Michigan militia, these organizations started bringing awareness to this, but none of it's come to pass in the last 30 years, 25 years, 20 years.
Yeah, and what was it about 5-6 years ago? All the portable morgues and the mass grave coffins and everything else.
Oh, those coffin liner mass graves have been around for over 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
Over 30 years they've been reporting on them. Now,
yeah, but the last wave, there was a big push about that about 5-6 years ago.
Yeah. Now, what I will say is there are things that are happening, and that have come to pass, that are shocking and ridiculous, and I can't fucking believe this is happening. And this has to do with the LGBTQ crowd and what they're doing to children, what they're doing to students in schools, brainwashing them, not teaching them, and developing this entire generation. And it's not all of them; it's just the stupid ones that are pro-socialism, pro-communism, and they're very dangerous. I consider them extremely dangerous. But awareness and understanding that they're a tiny percentage of the population are willing to act on these violent thoughts. But when they do, it gets sensationalized. The shooters, the mass shooters, the tranny shooters, and we just never know where it's going to happen. But being aware is kind of like you or me or somebody else. They've got their sidearm, they're carrying concealed. One of these idiots finally pops up like a jack in the box, and they get their head blown off for trying to commit a mass murder. So, yeah, we have to be prepared and ready, but the odds of it happening the way we all fear the most, I think, is very low.
Absolutely.
On the other hand, these fruitcakes are everywhere trying to shove this shit down our throats, and I think it is time to fight back. And I gave two great examples today, Texas and then Louisiana, of what happens when you support politicians and keep yelling at them to take the proper political action, to stop this shit, to turn this fucking ship around.
Yep.
It's a fight, and that's why I say prep to action, not prep and go hide in your fucking bunker and never come out again because the aliens or the eclipse is going to kill you.
Well, before we get too far off of your previous point there, two of the greatest motivating factors in life are, number one, fear, and number two is anger. So if they can get you angry about stuff, they're going to get you to do stuff that they want, whether you realize it or not.
Yeah.
You get into a crowd or mob mentality situation or something like that. That's just where you got to stay mentally tough. You got to stay focused. You got to know when it's time to go.
Yeah. It's not go time, not yet, but we need to be aware. And that's really what the show is about, is taking action and understanding it so that you are not overcome with fear. You're not overcome with anger, right? Get it out of your system. Tell people about it. Then you feel better about it. I'm like, hey, I just told 5 fucking people about that incident, but I'm not going to run around and tell everyone there's a massive tsunami of death coming as if it were absolutely true. But I want to be aware that this doctor is saying that.
Yep.
And he's practicing science, but now we've learned what science is. Science is whatever someone in authority says it is.
Can you trust anybody that says they're a doctor on the internet?
I can't trust anybody on either side.
I don't know this guy's credentials. I don't know where that story originated from. We get so many things.
Virologist.
Oh, yes, of course he is.
He's top.
But I mean, when you go to do so much of this research, you run into these articles and they all use circular references. So
yes, correct.
One thing comes out and then everybody cites that, and then everybody cites the 5 guys that cited the first guy, and they think that, oh, look, multiple sources. No, that's not multiple sources. That's one source that was repeated and unconfirmed by anybody. I don't trust anybody.
Circular logic, correct.
Yeah, I do not trust anybody that says, I'm a doctor on the internet. Just like I don't trust anybody on the left that says whatever they are on the internet.
Right.
Common sense, reason, and logic. You can't drop that.
Right. If we all remember how fear works, followed by anger. We were told that 25% of the population of the world was going to die because of cerveza bug.
Yep.
25%. Turned out it was a lower than normal flu season death year, probably because so many people stayed away and stayed in their homes. So there was less chance of the regular flu going around or the regular cerveza bug. So they lied to us and people were scared to death. And then if you went out in public without a mask, you went into the store and you went against the direction of the arrows, what was the other motivating factor that came up? People were afraid, and then they responded with anger when somebody they felt was a threat.
Yep.
So people bit on that twice.
Oh, yeah. I experienced that firsthand when I went to walk into a Wally World and I was not wearing a mask, and the lady in front of me offered me one and I declined, and she freaked out and started screaming at me, if I die, it's going to be all your fault.
Fine. If you die, send me a Christmas card. I'll say a prayer for you and light a fucking candle.
Yeah, right.
Anyways, yeah, where do we draw the line? Where do we stop? Do we not even report it? Do we don't talk about it? I think that's where we made a mistake years ago, and it's allowed government to get to this point of tyrannical treatment of us and thinking. But yeah, we take it way over the edge. And
yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with reporting on it, but you can't report on it as if it is a fact and it is going to happen. You gotta.
It's imminent.
You always got to kind of put in there that says that, hey, this is what people are saying, but there's no confirming evidence or anything we know behind it. I mean, so many of these guys wind it up to, they got a source and they got a this and they know for sure it's going to happen. And then time and time again, when it doesn't happen, people still keep going back there for their fix of fear porn and adrenaline or whatever they're going there for, or if they got their anger addiction that they need to fill. They keep going back. Yeah.
It's an addiction to be afraid. People become hypochondriacs. They get addicted to being sick. They like the attention they get. Anyways, we're at the end of the show. I want to remind everyone, tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern is when I would like to be here for a special Thursday night show. I have a little announcement to make. Nothing too crazy, though, but it is a little different than normal. And also, I want to, if it's Sunday, right? Sunday is the big day.
No, Monday.
It's Monday. Monday is the big day. Monday is the big day. Sunday night, Saturday, I want everyone to watch Night of the Comet. It's an old movie, Night of the Comet. This comet goes overhead. The next day, everyone's turned to dust. They've died and turned to dust. And the people that are left alive, they start turning into zombies. So that could happen. I want everyone prepared for that. If you want to be afraid, watch Night of the Comet right before the eclipse happens. And I don't want to, I'm not really making fun of everybody, because a lot of this, people, they're not certain. They're scared. People are vulnerable. And it's terrible that they get preyed on by a lot of these fear porn people. But I do really believe we need to be prepared. If you don't think you need to be, then ask yourself what happened when the communists took over in Russia, when the Nazis took over in Germany, when the communists took over in Cuba, in China. When the aggressive warmongers took over anywhere on the planet. When you have one group that is justified in acts of violence, I think, is when we start getting in trouble. I am not justifying acts of violence and going and killing a bunch of people, but listen to the left-wingers, it's there. And, well, the right-wingers, we were supposed to be the dangerous ones, weren't we, Oliver?
Oh, absolutely.
Why aren't we?
I don't know. All I hear is crickets. Where are we seeing all the violence coming from?
Well, I don't know. It's not the taxpayers. They're too busy working. Well, anyways, it's a shit show. Shit has hit the fan, and I think we're going to continue to have an exciting year as things get nastier and nastier. And there's a lot of concern over Joe Biden right now. There's a lot of anger within the Democrat Party over Joe Biden because his numbers are terrible. But he hasn't gone away, not yet. Now, let's do this. One last thing. If Biden drops out, who's going to step in?
Well, the consensus seems to be that they're going to throw in Gavin Newsom at the last minute.
Gavin Newsom, huh?
Yeah, that's what I hear the most. He's charismatic. He's fairly well spoken compared to most Democrats, I guess, but I don't know. I have no idea.
He's a fucking sleazeball beyond belief.
Oh, absolutely. He's a broken used car salesman. All right, I'll let you wrap it up, and everybody have a good night and stay mentally tough.
Stay mentally tough. Don't succumb to fear, anger, any of that stuff. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Uman. Those darn sheep. Chance favors the prepared mind. I want to see all of you tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. Pacific. We'll do a little Thursday night zoo, some live stuff. Until then, well, adios, amigo, and God bless America. Semper Fi.